If you're like 20, 30 something years old right now, you might want to pay attention to this one. Listen all the way through. Hell, maybe even if you're in your 40s. I get in this conversation fairly often. Um, it's something I've, pushed down through the training at one of the companies I do that, well, not that I do, one of the companies I own that does career planning, resume writing, and all that fun stuff. But a lot of times when we're coaching people, you got to present the concept of how you gonna feed your family at 60, just to throw it out there. And a lot of times we're coaching people that are in their late 20s, early 30s that just haven't really got moving yet. You might still be living at home, just haven't got established yet. And then we try to paint this picture of, you hear a lot of stuff from Gary Vee that says, you don't have to have it all figured out in your 20s. And I say fair enough to that. But I also found that even for me, particularly when I was building my career and my companies in my 20s, life was significantly easier in your 20s, where then you weren't tied down with things. And if you look at the average person that I look at friends that wanted to go on to have, get married and have kids and settle down. Comparing that life to your 20s, well, once you get into your 30s and you got kids and you got a spouse, it's not so easy to, work late. It's not so easier to take that job across the country and take a risk. It's hard to spend time learning new skills or go back to school. Things get more complicated once you start having a more established life. So the 20s is that time when I feel like you get education out of the way. You can spend the extra hours at the office or, building your business on the side or full time. You're just not tied down in your 20s. You got energy, you got your health, you got your youth. You just go. The problem is, I'd say we squander a decade often. And then by the time 30, 32 hits, you're like, oh, I gotta get moving. Now, what they don't tell you is, as you get up to about 50, getting a job gets pretty hard. Unless you're really good at what you do and you're well established. Such as you're a CFO of a company, right? And that's a job you can ride out until 70 probably. I had a buddy that was in his 50s, and he was taking a buyout package or something, large company, or he had an option to, and he was asking me for advice, like what should I do? What's it going to be like? What should I get prepared for? And I'm like, you're going to be out of work, probably. I'm looking at where he lived. He's a super smart guy, hardworking, one of the hardest working people I know. Educated, he's got the whole package. But I know with his experience, where he's located, and his age, it's probably going to take him a while. I might be prepared to be out of work 12, 15 months. And he was out of work for, I think, 14, 15 months, and he finally got a great job. But you realize when you get in your 50s, it gets a little bit harder. And you also have higher salary demands. There's not a lot of job descriptions out there that says, requires 25 years of experience. A lot of jobs can be done with people that have 5 years of experience now. So who wants to pay for 25 years of experience when they can pay for 5 and get the same job done? So knowing that you're starting at 30 and it's going to be harder to get a job at 50, that means you got 20 years to get your life really set up and kind of get ready for retirement. So in 20 years, you're going to have to buy a home potentially, furnish it. You're gonna got to pay taxes and health care and accumulate all these assets and live and feed yourself and pay for electricity. You got to do all that and get ready for retirement all in 20 years. And then now you realize how important that first 10 years in your 20s would have mattered in getting a career going and saving money, building up experience. And then, this article here, I thought there's a line that I found not interesting, something I already knew because we do this in the coaching side all day, but the line says, but when older workers change occupations later in life, the study added, they experience a decrease in hourly earnings. So if you don't go until you're 50 years old with some money in the bank and some retirement set up and some experience, it's only going to get worse from there because if you have to change careers, you're usually going to take a step back. And I think people don't want to talk about this. Do you think you should be setting yourself up where your highest earning years are your 40s and early 50s? If you spent quite a bit of time in your 20s building a career, you mastered a craft and you got really good in your 30s, You crush it in your 40s, you're making investments and you're saving up. And I I often present the question to family and friends that I'm coaching or mentoring, and I just say simple: how are you going to feed your family when you're 60? And that's how we get in this conversation. It starts with that. You start mapping out that you're not going to switch careers at 50 and double your salary for the most part. I mean, things just don't work that way anymore. Maybe they never did. Maybe for a handful of people. So if you don't go into 50 somewhat set up for life, it's going to be an ugly ride, because I say, what if you live to 90? So are you going to retire at 62? How are you going to live for 30 more years if you didn't save a bunch of money for retirement? Social Security ain't going to be enough. Ask my father. If my father didn't have me, he'd be broke as shit right now. You can't live on $1,300 a month when your rent's $700-800 a month. You know, they take a chunk out for their Medicare or Medicaid or whatever. You got to eat. You got other things that pop up. You got to get stuff fixed. Things break. Car insurance. Like, you can't live on $1,300 a month. So I keep presenting that idea. Like, I get the whole you don't have to have it figured out in your 20s, but you need to get your ass moving. Go build experience doing something. Build up a work ethic. Build professionalism. Build some kind of resume. Start saving some money. Well, let's not even talk about it. Did you go to college and you got to get that paid off? There's so many things that we just don't think about, and we're trying to crunch all of our earnings in between, 30 and 45 and 50, and you're going to find out it doesn't work that well, unless you get lucky. Let's say you got to keep working in your 60s. What are you going to do? What if you get sick? I'm saying from experience, I ended up in the hospital multiple times dealing with health issues, and I was thankful that I had myself in a financial position to deal with that. But I'm like, what if I wasn't? What if my entire career just got yanked out from under me and I couldn't work anymore? Would I be able to live on disability? It would suck. But I think people think you're going to go through life and never have any health issues. Nothing bad's going to happen. It's life's not that way. Bad things are always going to happen. Are you ready for it is the question. So I just keep telling people, stop wasting time, stop procrastinating, stop waiting to figure it out. You would have been better off just going to work at Panera Bread or Amazon at 22. And by 30, you probably could have been running one of the joints or, been a regional manager or something. That would have been better than just bouncing around from job to job and sitting at home. And it's not the most glorious work, but you could have worked on paying your school loans off. You could have put some money in the bank. Hell, if you put any kind of money in the stock market in the last 4 or 5 years, you would have crushed it. You could have been in a significantly better position at 30 than you were at 20. And the goal would be in a significantly better position at 40 than you are at 30. But I think sitting around and waiting to get things figured out, you just got to go. And eventually you'll figure it out. But the thought of just waiting or removing yourself from the workforce because it's not something you want to do. I had to do many things I didn't want to do so I could pay my rent, so I could take care of my family, so I could put food in my mouth. You got to keep that in mind, because unless you got a trust fund or a big inheritance coming, who's going to take care of you at 60? The government? I always say they should do the Scared Straight Retirement Edition, where you have to go to the co-op housing with the senior citizens that don't have any money. And then you see how they got to live just on Social Security. And when you see how ugly it is, and do you want to spend the last 30 of your life living that way? For me personally, no. No, I absolutely do not. And I'll do just about anything to make sure that doesn't happen. We don't think about that. We only think about today. The new world is instant gratification, no looking down 2 or 3 or 4 years, 10 years. We're fly by the seat of our pants. And then you realize that kind of mentality is, it ends up becoming too late at some point. When they say it's never too late, it is too late. You're not going to wake up at 60 and launch a new tech career, writing code at Facebook, making $200,000 a year. It's too late. And I'm saying don't wait until it's too late. Go do something. Get moving. Master a skill. Start saving money. Start making investments. And I'm not talking about because you want to be rich and you want to buy material things. You just acknowledge that maybe one day you want to have a family. Maybe one day you want to retire. maybe you want to have some money in the bank just in case you get sick, and you don't want to have to lose everything you have. So ask yourself, how are you going to feed your family at 60? More than likely, it's the things that you did between 20 and 50 is how you're going to feed your family at 60. It's probably not going to be the job that you're getting up in the morning to go do at 60. That's going to probably help you try to maintain at best. So what I'm saying is, like, you got decades before you get there. But if you wait to take action by the time you're 50, 60, it's too late. Don't do that. But anyways, that's all I got for this one. It's a conversation I get into often. Thought I would just bring it up for the hell of it, because I'm at a point where I get asked a lot of the questions, the same questions over and over and over again. I figured I'm just going to start doing episodes, and then when someone asks, I can just send them the link to the video to watch. There's a topic you want me to feature or something you want me to talk about, business, careers, life, send me a link on Instagram at JamesPhillip313. Drop me a DM with a link to an article or something, and I'll try to get you featured. Until then, I'm going to catch you on the next one.